Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is the 176th Rome Total War Brotherhood game that I've put onto YouTube. The team I'm in today consists of Brotherhood member Conan, who was brought to the Rome SPQR faction. As you know, Conan is one of the co-founders of the Brotherhood. And then our next teammate is Brotherhood member Killer. He's called himself Hawaiian Snow as a bit of a joke, but he's actually Brotherhood member Killer. And he has bought the Rome Scipio faction. And then myself, who has unusually bought the Greek cities faction. So there's our team there, full of experience. I know we've all been playing RTW since it first came out, so we've got a heck of a lot of combined RTW hours experience. Should be a great one for you to watch. At this stage of the battle, I thought we'd have a look at this old Greek cities army of mine. As you know, sometimes I bring a very old army out of retirement, dust it off, clean it up, and bring it onto the modern day battlefield. And this is what I've done with this army. This Greek cities army is probably 7 or 8 years old, and I just thought I'd bring it along here to see how well it does against 3 good Roman generals. As you can see there, I've got a mixture of armoured hoplites and Spartan units there. And also, if you look at the back there, you'll see that I've gone for the cheaper archers here. I think the reason that I did that must have been to give me a little bit more money to put on upgrades on my infantry. Just to say, new players watching this, whenever you choose the Greek cities, straight away you put your teammates at a cavalry disadvantage. Yes, the Greek cities got elite infantry, such as the Spartans, with their 2 hit points and excellent specifications, but of course the Greek cities haven't got very good cavalry. So like I say, as soon as you pick Greek cities, then your teammates are going to be at a cavalry disadvantage, especially when you're facing 3 Romans as we are today. My guess is that they're going to have something like maybe 16, 17 cavalry units, and I think we're going to have a very small amount in comparison to that. So if you do choose Greek cities, make the most of your elite infantry. Don't sit back. Don't play too defensively. You need to take the pressure off your teammates and really if you can, become aggressive with the Greek cities. Make the most of those elite Spartan troops. Otherwise, you might see your allies get destroyed quickly. At this stage of the battle, I thought we'd have another look at Conan's famous fan formation here. If you notice, he's got a legionary first cohort unit there in between his 2 urban cohorts there as a pile of shield units. And as I say, if you look at his army from behind, you can see it really is like a fan formation there as it opens. It's a very effective and strong formation, this. But if you notice, he's only bought 3 cavalry. So it'll be interesting to see if that formation and that amount of infantry will make up for only having 3 cavalry units. This should be an interesting battle for you to watch. And here is the other team. We have Brotherhood member Uther, who was brought to the Rome Julio faction. And then we have Brotherhood member Toa. Now Toa has just come back, I think, from a 3-year break on RTW, and I think he feels he's a little bit rusty, but I know he's been playing and practicing a lot with Killer lately, so it'll be interesting to see how well he does in this battle. Toa was a really great player of his day, and I'm sure that after getting more into it a little bit more, he'll be back to those ways again. So that's Brotherhood member Toa, and he has bought the Rome Brutio faction. And then we have RTW player 8ball, who has bought the Rome Brutio faction. I think a lot of you will know him as 8ball, but my guess is he's probably has some other names when he's been on RTW as well. And he's a really good 31k player. So there's the other team. It's got the ingredients to be a great battle. Okay, at this very early stage of the battle, I thought we'd just have a look here at the number of cavalry my teammates have got. I see Killer has got 4 cavalry units, and Conan has got 3. So we've actually got 7 cavalry units on our team. Let's see how many cavalry units we've got on the other team. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 11 cavalry units there, and another 5 cavalry units there. So the enemy team have actually got 16 cavalry units against our 7. So as I say, new players watching this, when you choose Greek cities, you can see how much of a cavalry disadvantage your teammates are when you do choose them. So make sure you make the most of those elite Spartan troops to try and take the pressure off your teammates with all that cavalry disadvantage. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next. As you can see here, Killer's been very aggressive there, moving forward towards the enemy line there. He may even been looking to try and drive a wedge between the two enemy Brutii armies there. You notice how fast he moved forward. Right, the cavalry, enemy Brutii general in front of me can see my army advancing towards him. And you've noticed he's moved back a little bit. And if you notice now that, can you see that the Toa is bringing his Brutii cavalry over, possibly with a view to coming over to the flank here, to be a threat to my units from the flank there. As he moves those cavalry units round, my guess is he could have spotted my archers there, and it wouldn't surprise me if he turned his cavalry in to attack my archers, which is what he's thinking about doing. You notice how he's turning, but if you notice, my teammate Killer has brought his Scipii cavalry over to cover my archers. But all the time those Brutii cavalry were there, my archers were shooting them. Can you see the dead Brutii cavalry on the ground there? But that was a nice move by a nice supporting move there by Killer coming across to cover my archers there. Okay, remember what I said to you about Greek cities, making the most of your elite infantry. To try and take that cavalry disadvantage pressure off your teammates. Keep being aggressive. If you just sit back in a defensive formation, what a general will usually do is put a few units in testudo in front of you just to kind of hold you there while he moves the rest of his infantry and cavalry off to his teammates to attack your teammates. So remember, the best thing to do when you're Greek cities is to be aggressive. Right, if you notice, I'm moving forward now once again. As I said, being aggressive, heading towards the Brutii army there. I'm just going to pause the game here to ask you a question. If you were that Brutii general here, the green Brutii general, and you saw this Greek cities army running towards you, obviously with a view to charge into you, what would you do? Would you fall back? Would you fall your army back, keep falling it back further and further? Would you attack? Would you move your troops into attack position and attack the Greek cities? Would you go into testudo? What would you do if you were that Brutii general there, with this big Greek cities army running straight at you? Interesting. I suppose new players as well as maybe veterans there might be able to give their opinions. If you fall back, if you keep falling back, eventually you're going to get to the red line, and then you won't be able to fall back any further. So what do you think you would do in this position if you were that Brutii general? Let's see what happens. Right, if you notice there, I've put my pikes down, ready to move forward into that Brutii army, but now the Brutii army now is pulling back. So he's actually decided to pull back there. Right, I'm just going to pause the game here to show you something, both new players and old players that are watching this who have probably done the same thing. What I did was I took this infantry formation out of group, and I amended a pilot shield unit at the front. I moved it slightly differently, and then I thought I'd put it back into group and then moved my infantry forward, but I hadn't grouped it. It was my mistake. I hadn't grouped it, and I just moved them forward as a bunch, and this is how they've turned out. That formation that I had earlier is completely gone now, and this is just how they are. Can you see how they look, the long lines of those units? And that's just my fault because I didn't group them as I moved them forward. So that formation is really rubbish. The flanks are so long that if cavalry charged in from the flanks, and if you had an aggressive infantry general in front of you who could charge into you, that formation is really, really rubbish there now. Well, as I say, it's not a formation, it's just something that the computer puts your units into if you haven't grouped them. Okay, so I'm just saying that new players watching this, you might have done this, and I bet a few veterans are nodding their heads knowing that now and again they've actually done this as well. So just to show you exactly what happened there. Meanwhile, over on the left flank of the battlefield here, you can see that Conan's fan formation is facing Uther's Brotherhood member Uther's Julii army there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on that left flank. As you can see here, there's a general, just a general overview of what's actually happening. But let's go back to this new player, Spartan Commander, who's made a mistake of not grouping his infantry there. Right, so I'm in a double dilemma here because I know I've got to keep pressure on that general in front of me to, as I said before, to try and make up for the cavalry disadvantage I've given my my teammates there. So unfortunately now, because I've fallen out of that formation, I've still got to try and move fast, in my opinion, to keep putting pressure on him. So if you notice here, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to throw some of my armoured hoplites in open order, obviously in front of my my main Spartans, to soak up any pilas that that might be coming my way. But if you notice, once again the Brutio General's pulling back again. Obviously he doesn't really want to take on the Greek cities head on. But when you saw my my troops fall out of formation there, if he'd have really attacked there, he might have gained a bit of advantage there. But as I say, if you notice now, what I'm trying to do now, in my opinion, I've got to move fast. I want to keep putting the pressure on him, so I've just thrown my armoured hoplites in open order out in front of my main Spartan battle line, just to run them forward there, so the hoplites will soak up the pilas being thrown by the Roman general there. If you notice, once again the Brutio General's moving away. In fact, he's moving flankwards towards his allies there. But if you notice, I'm now running my Spartans straight into his Roman units there. What I want to do, I want to run them in. Obviously you have to put the spears up when you run in, and then I'm going to put the pikes down as soon as I as soon as I start engaging his troops there. So that's what I've done. If you notice, he's still trying to move back even now, even though a lot of his units have actually, if you like, been caught by my my running Spartans there. As I say, I know I asked you earlier, but if you were that Brutio General, what would you do at this stage of the battle? Can you see I'm running in some more Spartan units from the back there? I've let them throw most of their pilas, hopefully, and I'm going to charge in with those Spartan units. Remember, the Spartans got those 2 hit points, so pila damage is quite considerably less to them as it would be to other units there. If you notice, Killer's moving his Scipii infantry a little bit more over towards my my army there. As I say, this is just something to show new players that, if you do decide to pick Greek cities because of their elite Spartan troops, make sure that you are aggressive with them, make the most of those elite Spartan troops. As I said earlier, if you just sit back in a defensive formation, what will happen is probably you'll see your teammates get destroyed by the combined enemy armies ganging up on them, and then you'll just be left on your own there to face all the rest of the armies there. So it's always best to try and be aggressive with Greeks if you can. Meanwhile, over on our left flank here, you can see that Uther is now attacking Conan's SBQR army there. There's a nice cavalry hit there going in by the green Brutii cavalry, and bang as that cavalry hits. I say I've got 2 really experienced teammates with me here, so my guess is that the amount of infantry that they've got there is going to be able to hold and repel those big cavalry hits. But as you can imagine, if each one of those enemy generals had 6 cavalry each, that would be 18 cavalry units there. Maximum of 18 cavalry units against, I think we had 7, didn't we? So if you can imagine the charge bonus that each one of those cavalry units gets against that infantry, you can see that having all that cavalry can be a big advantage.
Fear makes a home in our enemies' hearts.
As you can see in my Greek cities, the first opportunity I get, I up their spears and run them forward again, always trying to attack the enemy, always trying to be aggressive with the Greek cities. If you notice the Brutio cavalry charged in there, took out one of our Scipii units, but then backed off before they went on through to my Spartan unit there. Nice little move there by the Brutio cavalry general. As you can see, Brotherhood member Killer's Scipii army is really in a tussle there on that on our centre right there. If you notice, Conan here is moving forward with his infantry now. I think Conan had about 17 infantry units there in that fan formation, and if you notice, he's moving them forward now, attacking Uther's Julii units there. If you see here, can you see Uther's Julii cavalry charging into the Brutii infantry? Also, he's running infantry units forward as well, and as that cavalry hits, bang! And then the Brutii cavalry comes in as well. What an impact they've got! Bang! As that Brutii cavalry hits. Now, can you see what I mean about big cavalry advantage? Now, a lot of infantry, if Conan didn't have that many infantry, a lot of those infantry would have routed them with those cavalry hits. It's just Conan's got so many infantry in that formation that managed to hold against that massive cavalry attack. If those infantry, maybe if he didn't have that many infantry and they were in a little bit of a different formation, that our left flank could have broken then with that massive cavalry charge. So that's what I'm saying. When you choose Greek cities and you put your allies at a cavalry disadvantage, you've got to be aggressive and make up for not having the cavalry by attacking. As you can see, Uther's Julii cavalry charging in again. But if you notice that Killer's Scipii infantry are now moving up towards Uther's Julii infantry there from our right flank. So we've moved up. So if you see that Uther there, I think was facing not only Conan at the front, but he also had Killer's Scipii army coming in from his flank as well there.
The enemy general is slain, and now his men fear us. It is time to press the attack.
So it looks like after a tremendous battle there, it looks like we've managed to seem to have gone on to win the battle there. If you notice over at the background there, you can see that there's still some enemy green Brutii cavalry attacking there. But I think most of, if not all, the enemy infantry have now been taken out there. But I just thought this was an interesting game to show you for two reasons. One, how when my formation went out of formation, so you saw what, if you like, formation the computer put it in when you haven't grouped your formation. And you can see there that how poor the computer grouping, how poor the units are when you move forward when they're not in group. So I thought that was interesting to show you, and also I thought I'd show you how you really need to be aggressive with Greek cities when you use them. So I thought this was a good battle. I hope for new players maybe to learn a few things there, and maybe veterans to watch as well. I hope it was a game that pleased everyone there. As you can see, the enemy Brutii cavalry not going to give in, going to keep fighting. So we're kind of just chasing down this last few Brutii cavalry there. My guess is that Brutii cavalry will go for our ally Scipii cavalry there, and if he does, I'll see if I can run some of my Spartan units over to help. Now, if our Scipii ally can hold them long enough, we can get infantry over there. Then the most of those Brutii cavalry, I think, will probably go on to rout there. And I think that was the last of the the enemy units there.
This is a heroic victory, worthy of Greek soldiers.
So that was quite a fierce battle there. But the first thing I'd like to say is really well played to everybody in the game there. I thought there were some good aggressive tactics there by both teams. Some really big, massive cavalry hits. And as I said, if my allies hadn't had so many infantry, when you saw those massive cavalry hits going, that would have probably broken our left flank there. So as I say, it's when you do take Greek cities and you put your teammates at a cavalry disadvantage, you have to kind of make up for that by trying to be aggressive, trying to take on as many enemy units as you can with your elite Spartans, and hopefully draw in units from the other two armies that were there as well, so that you weaken their armies, once again helping your own teammates out there. So I'd just like to say really well done to 8ball, Toa and Uther. I thought they played extremely well there in that game. Really well done to them, and unlucky with those cavalry charges. As I said, you could have broken the left flank if we'd had less infantry and maybe a different formation there. And really well played to Conan and Killer there. I thought their great aggressive tactics really paid off. Right, I just thought we'd have a look at the kills that the Spartan army got. If you notice that the cheap archers, even they got some reasonable kills. But if you look at the Spartan hoplite kills in relation to the armoured hoplites, can you see how many kills the Spartans get in comparison to those armoured hoplites? So you can see how powerful those Spartan units are. Don't forget they got their 2 hit points and really good specifications. So as I say, players that choose Greek cities in the future, make sure you're aggressive to make up for that cavalry disadvantage. The Spartan commander, see you soon.